Our primary focus, however, is the Iska project. It's a silver tin polymetallic project situated in southern Bolivia.
Welcome viewers to Assay TV. Today we're speaking with Tom Larsen, who's CEO of Eloro Resources. Eloro is an exploration and mine development company with a portfolio of silver tin polymetallic projects in southern Bolivia. Tom, thanks very much for joining me today.
Adam, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be on your program.
Yes, excellent. And could you just give us an overview of the company and tell us a little bit about Eloro Resources?
Sure. Eloro Resources, we're a publicly traded company, as you mentioned. Our focus is exploration and mine development. We are involved with our primary focus, however, is the Iska project. It's a silver tin polymetallic project situated in southern Bolivia in the department of Potosí. And Potosí is world recognized as basically the area where Cerro Rico de Potosí, that was it came into production back in the 17th century. It's deemed as, it has been recorded as the world's largest silver tin deposit ever recorded. We're 180 kilometers away. This is the Iska project. It's basically a 9.5 square kilometer property. We call it basically a volcanic edifice. It contains a volcano, a collapsed caldera, volcanism within a porphyry silver tin feeding system deeper down. This project came to us through our managing director for Bolivian operations, a fellow called Dr. Osvaldo Assay, who has lived and was born in Bolivia. He was president of the Bolivian Geological Society from 2010 to 2018. He is very close to our head of exploration, Dr. William Pearson, who spearheads the exploration operation at Iska in conjunction with hands on the ground, Dr. Osvaldo Assay. The company Eloro itself initially spent time in Quebec, also with a project in Peru, north central Peru, in the Ancash district, with world-class names such as Barrick Resources, their Lagunas Norte project, the Pan American Silver's 2 projects, mining operations at least, La Arena and Shahuindo. It's a 90 square kilometer property. However, the opportunity in regard to Bolivia came to us through Dr. Osvaldo Assay, having worked on our Peruvian La Victoria project with an opportunity called Iska that he had spent time with the owners back in 2016, and they were looking for a partner to come in to help with it. With the Iska, and that's when the opportunity presented itself. So basically, it came through Bolivian channels. Just to complete I'll get into sort of the definitive agreement aspect of it, but just back to the public company itself. We currently have 60 million shares outstanding. We're trading at around $5 Canadian, just over. So we have a share market cap in excess of 300 million Canadian. Fully diluted, we're up to 74 million shares if you include warrants and directors' options. The cash component, we did 2 raises, 2 private placement bought deal raises in the last 4 months. We did a financing of $6 million led by Haywood Securities at $1.55 with half a warrant at $2.25, I believe. And then just in the last month and a half, 2 months, we raised a further $25 million with Cormark Securities, Haywood Securities, and Cantor Fitzgerald at $3.75 a share with half a warrant at $5.25. If the stock trades over $7 for more than 20 days, there's an accelerator where there's forced conversion. So the company is financed, and we're basically we started the drill campaign on this project, Iska, back in September of 2020. And we are financed for our first phase 50,000 meter drill campaign. How did we actually move forward once Dr. Osvaldo Assay a couple of years ago suggested that Eloro perhaps become involved in Bolivia? I knew very little about Bolivia. It was sort of, from my standpoint, having spent quite a bit of time on Canadian projects, and back in the 90s, having spent time with Dr. Bill Pearson. We did spend time in Ecuador and Peru back in the 90s, but this was during BRIEX days. So we learned quite a lot back then, to say the least. However, we had Dr. Osvaldo Assay set up a Bolivian subsidiary. I really was intrigued with the attention that a company called New Pacific Metals was receiving from the capital markets. At one point, it got up to $1 billion market cap based on a discovery, a silver discovery, primarily silver, called the Silver Sands deposit. Both Pan American Silver and Silver Corp were shareholders, prominent shareholders of this explorer, New Pacific Metals. So I felt that maybe things were opening up in Bolivia, that maybe it was a spot that we could move forward with. And Dr. Osvaldo Assay's relationships with the government, with his father, who was the national manager of the state-owned mining arm called Comabol. We had great comfort in just his pedigree, and so we made the move forward on the project.
Excellent. Thanks for the rundown of the company there, Tom. Bolivia's got quite a good pedigree of mining and exploration companies within the region. Are there some particular companies of note as to why you chose to explore in Bolivia?
Yes, one of the major explorers, a company called New Pacific Metals. Again, they've had great success with the discovery of the Silver Sands deposit. They were up to $1 billion market cap. They're just joining the New York Amex exchange. And they basically have been involved, I think, for about 3 years in Bolivia, have moved forward with Pan American Silver and Silver Corp being major shareholders, or former major shareholders of the company. That intrigued me, and about the same time that Dr. Osvaldo Assay was bringing up this opportunity in southern Bolivia, where all the world-class major deposits are in Bolivia, in Potosi. So we, after really taking a good solid look, we decided to move forward with setting up a Bolivian subsidiary company with Dr. Osvaldo Assay overseeing that, and got to know the other players during that process. Basically, Sumitomo, the big Japanese trading house, they own the San Cristobal deposit, which was at one point the 4th largest silver, lead, zinc operation in the world. Also, Pan American Silver, their San Vicente project, which is only 50 kilometers away from the Iska project, our 9.5 square kilometer property. Also, there's just recently a company called San Bartolome, or at least the San Bartolome mine and processing plant, which was picked up by Andean Precious Metals, part of the Buchan Group of Kinross fame. So, there's been quite also another company, Silver Elephant, and their Puakaya project. These are all within a 200-kilometer radius of where Iska is situated, just south of the town of Tapiza in southern Bolivia. So these are sort of our neighbors. These are the operations. So it's a well-known place, location, especially for finding Bolivian-style polymetallics. What we did, we spent 6 months on due diligence, and then finally in January 2020, we ended up signing a definitive agreement with the owners of the property, the Villegas family. And the deal basically is we have 4 years to decide whether we want to take control of a 99% interest in the project. And for that, we would pay a flat payment of 10 million US dollars. Also an issuance of 250,000 shares at the agreement date of January 9th, 2020, and then in 2 years, a further 250,000 shares. So if we elected to continue. So that was basically in January 2020, we had a company called Micon International, independent engineering firm, fly down to meet with Dr. Osvaldo Arce, who completed the initial National Instrument 43101 report. And fortunately for everyone, he was able to get down in January of 2020 before COVID set in and restricted travel. So we were able to get that report out in April. And in May, June of 2020, after the market sort of took a bit of a knock, we quickly moved forward on a financing to initiate the inaugural drilling campaign that started in September of 2020. A fellow called Dr. Quinton Hennig became interested in our project, who's affiliated with, knows the Sumitomo people. So he did some checking on what Sumitomo was doing in Bolivia on the San Cristobal, and helped with our initial investment with a fund out of Denver, Colorado. So the drilling, this is very interesting. The project itself has never been drilled. There were some old adits, 3 adits on the property, what we call the Heracasa adit, the Santa Barbara, and the Porco. 3 adits that were probably there back in the old artisanal times, or colonial times with artisanal type mining. However, that's where we started from, and it was a real advantage to us to commence with that drilling campaign. We started off with 1 underground drill with a local driller, well-known driller. They've done, great work for us to date. We're up to 3 drills currently. And we basically were able to start drilling into what we call sulfide rock, rather than a lot of the rock on surface of this. And by the way, we're up 4,400 meters on flat-lying altiplano type terrain, but still up 4,400 meters. We were able to drill into, from the underground into sort of sulfide areas, and bypassing the oxidized, leached out rock types on, on surface. And this is one of the reasons why I think this thing was never discovered. There was a lot of leaching out of outcrop and such on surface. There was never anything really discovered at surface. And so a lot of the old Spanish, they would have just bypassed it, because obviously a lot of artisanal mining is based on straight, taking out silver veins or following silver veins, or gold veins, more so or tin veins, more so in Bolivia. So that was actually opportunistic for us. And it's one of the reasons Dr. Osvaldo Arce was asked to come and look at the project, because what it is, it's basically stockworks. It's not vein systems, it's more stockworks, which is more amenable to bulk tonnage type mining, mass tonnage, bulk mining. So this is where Dr. Osvaldo came in, and that was sort of his suggestion that we come in and use our expertise and see what we can come up with. So that's how things started. And that took place, really, the drilling started in January of 2020 on Iska, and we haven't looked back. We are now at close to 14,000 meters of drilling already completed towards our initial 51,000 meter drill campaign.
Fantastic. And what are the next steps within that drill campaign? You know, you're currently underway. Have you got some key milestones in terms of?
Yeah. So this is a very interesting system.
Mm,
When we first started drilling from the underground, from all the sampling, channel sampling that we'd taken in the summer prior, that intrigued us, and most of those samples were taken from the initial adit, the Hiracasa adit, which would be probably 50 meters from surface down the side of the sort of the mountain. And in our deck, you can see the topography and how it looks, so it'll be easy for the viewer to understand. But we basically had no idea that we were starting to encounter what they call breccia pipes. We hit a major breccia pipe to the east of the Hiracasa adit when we were drilling in that eastern direction. And this was Dr. Osvaldo Arce was sort of really, he has written books, 2 volumes on metallogenic systems, Bolivian metallogenic systems. He has not run across a breccia pipe like you see breccia pipes like Penasquitos in Mexico, but he had not seen a breccia pipe in Bolivia. So this was rather intriguing. And these are basically volcanics that are uprooted, structures that are uprooted through volcanism that come up through these old sandstone rocks that have been around for ancient times, 200 million years. And then you have this volcanism and up it comes. And they come in the form of breccia pipes or dacitic domes. We always felt that there were dacitic domes just by the topography on surface. They look like 3 or 4 domes, potentially, not sure. But the breccia pipes are interesting. So usually when you find one breccia pipe, they're usually in clusters. And that's what really intrigued us. And some of the drill results to date have been from the initial Hiracasa, we call it the Hiracasa breccia pipe, which was sort of a smaller pipe in diameter, I believe around 150 meters in diameter. Mm-hmm. And to a depth of probably 700 or 800 meters. But we then drilled to the west, and we hit the big event, the Santa Barbara breccia pipe, which is a pretty big. It's at least 400 meters diameter, and this is what really spurred our company, our share capitalization. We were trading around $1.50, and it moved it. Just this discovery alone moved it up to over $5. Rather quickly, and it came back down since, and now we're back again. But we outlined the Santa Barbara breccia pipe, and so what we did was we brought in a second drill in January, a surface drill, to do what we call radial drilling. That's the great thing about these pipes. You know the dimensions somewhat, and then so you're just doing radial drilling from surface, like at 60 degree, 45, 60 degree, and some 80 degree holes, to determine basic volumes of rock and mineralized rock. The interesting thing here is that every single hole that we've drilled has been mineralized. I'm not saying that it's commercial, but it's been mineralized. In other words, this whole system, whether you're going through breccia pipes or mineralized envelopes of sandstone, everything seems to be mineralized. So there must have been tremendous force, gases and waters creating pressures, volcanism, way back when, to have created these types of explosions. The one thing that I really have to emphasize here is that I'm not a geologist. I like to find something, get a good team, but the strength of the success of this is the geo team, and the technical people that are guiding this. And we have, again, Dr. Bill Pearson, who's our senior VP of exploration. We have Dr. Osvaldo Arce, our general manager, overseeing a team now of probably 14 geologists on site, all Bolivian. Everyone's Bolivian that works on our site at Iska. and also Dr. Quinton Hennig, more as a senior technical advisor. And I know he's involved in other projects, but he's been very, very instrumental. And that's the bench strength of what is also aiding this incredible deposit potential that we're now involved with.
Yep, it's fantastic. It's an exciting time to be positioned in silver and tin assets as well. What's your sort of optimism around the industrial applications and demand that's coming in for these particular metals?
Well, the media is ahead of us on that. I mean, in the older, 20 years ago, I mean, there's so much information now coming out from social media just on decarbonization and the green economy and the move towards cleaning up our planet, obviously. So when you see things like silver and understand silver, it's just not just a monetary instrument, currency instrument, that it does have applications, just its unique conductivity, what it can be used for in photovoltaics, like growing industries. There's obviously there's a solid demand. I know people are frustrated with the how it seems to persist at sitting under $30 an ounce, and there's people that are out there that are more qualified than I to give their opinions on that. My belief, though, is that obviously currencies around the world, not just the US dollar, just seem to be somewhat less important to politicians that run these economies. There should be a little more respect when it comes to currencies, such as when we have, for instance, a gold standard with the US dollar. Obviously, things are very inflationary right now. Silver and things like gold, I mean, these are finite materials, finite amounts. You can't just endlessly print away or create these things. So yeah, obviously there's a strong demand. I can only see, I'm basing our valuations of what we see per ton of rock right now, just guesstimating. We're basing it on today's prices. But obviously, if we get a multiplier based on, price appreciation of silver, gold, zinc, lead, and more so also, at least just as important, is tin. Tin's becoming very interesting. More and more people, including myself, are really understanding the benefits of tin. It's a very, very tight market. The London market right now, I mean, I think they've only got like 2 days of supply, based on tin consumption. And what's tin used for? I thought it was, tin cans. I mean, obviously, no, it's a main event. Its main component is soldering electric circuit boards. Every car that's coming out these days, you'll see some tin component in those cars. And there's so many applications developing for the tin market. How many tin players, publicly traded companies that have a tin component are there? Most of the supply that comes to the tin market is from usually artisanal mining, and also over in Myanmar or China. It's a very, very sort of tight market.
Yeah, absolutely. Tremendous upside potential with these metals from the industrial uses as you described. So just to sum up, Tom, how's the operating environment in Bolivia? You've obviously been able to stay busy throughout the pandemic. You've got a great team, and with Osvaldo on side, it's really helped progress things. But how's the environment for mining there at the moment?
COVID has been an issue. There's no question. I think this is one of, we were able to get some rigs really quickly, and some of the operations back in March, April, May of 2020 had to slow down. We've been sort of fortunate. First of all, we're in an area that's basically fairly isolated. There's no towns that we're close. I mean, the closest town is Tupiza, 40 miles away. there was no artisanal miners or, many communities in where Iska is located. So we've had a pretty safe environment, to say the least. So we've been able to, bring in a strong workforce and qualified workforce in senior and junior geologists. So from our standpoint, and Leduc Drilling, that's the Bolivian drillers. They've been, they've been with us the whole time. They set up a camp right on site, and we've had no COVID issues. I would say that's all of us have to be very careful. Indirectly, the COVID issue has slowed our drill results, our assay results from the laboratory in Lima, Peru. That's where we have our samples finally assayed.
Right.
That has been slow. Our prep lab with ALS in Aurora, which is close by to Iska, we've had no issues there. Obviously no issues we're getting 80 to 90 meters of drill. So, 250, 300 meters a day of drilling. But the laboratory, the finishing lab in Lima has issues because there's a restriction on argon gas and oxygen that's needed for some of the hospitals, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's been our bottleneck. That we're obviously hopeful that there'll be more vaccinations exported or imported in. Hopefully a lot from the US exported down. And hopefully over the next 3-4 months, that'll subside.
Yep.
So that's been the only issue for us.
Yeah, well, you stayed fantastically busy and operationally pretty good, all things considered. Tom, fantastic stuff. It's been really good talking with you and getting an update on Iska, and we look forward to catching up again later down the line this year.
Adam, a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully one of these days we'll meet in person. So I'm not slouched down like this the whole time, but great talking to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.